Okay. Alright, that's interesting. It's making sure. Alright. It is the correct one. Good morning, everyone. This is Generic Fool's Test. I am going to be reacting. I intended to do this on Thanksgiving Day, or this reaction on Thanksgiving Day, but I was sort of tired, and also there were some things that came up that I wanted to do. So these are, I intend to try and watch 2 videos, or react to 2 videos today. The 2 Brits try real Thanksgiving, and actually just 1 second. Oh, I'm just going to make sure that I have it. Thought I had set up everything, but apparently not. Anyways, I'm going to be reacting to, I intend to react to 2 Brits. Well, just in the event I don't run out of time, I'll just say that is the one I will definitely try to finish. If there's another video I have set up in the event that I get through it. By the way, the reason why I say American Thanksgiving is because other countries also have a Thanksgiving. I think there's a Korean Thanksgiving, but I don't know much about it, since I don't know any real Koreans. But without further ado, I guess we'll get started. So, once again, it's another jolly video. I was considering doing another military or military or cultural video, but I figured that since it's still November, I might as well do the Thanksgiving themed episode. Since it wouldn't make sense to do it later, and I'm not watching these. I watch these guys' content sometimes on my, or at least I used to, but now I figure it's better to do it for reactions, even though I don't particularly, get a lot of views for them. I really should be focusing on what gets me more content. Like, I should play more games, like Galarians. Alright. I've stalled enough. Here we go.
Oh, careful, careful with that knife. Show it who's boss.
That is delicious. Wow. Oh,
There's a lot going on. What a meal.
oh wow. There's your turkey.
Oh my God.
It's enormous.
That's actually a baby turkey, because I think we've sent him to a nicer place a little too early in his life.
Yeah, turkeys here are normally much larger than that.
Giving.
This is an American Thanksgiving dinner, starting with the turkey.
Wow.
Wow.
Well, no, I thought the turkeys my mum did at Christmas were massive, but that is ginormous.
I actually got you a pumpkin spice latte, Josh.
Okay.
I heard that this is a Thanksgiving tradition for many people before spending the entire day with their relatives.
Pumpkin spice latte. I don't know. What are you doing? This is not the bear.
Yeah.
You don't need to be chugging. What
There
is
you go.
that? What is
It's
that?
bourbon.
Is this a thing?
It's an absolute necessity.
Yeah.
Pumpkin spice latte.
Yeah. This is how you get through.
I've heard that a lot of people do actually need to have a little bit of this as a boost or like liquor as a boost to help them deal with relatives. But for me, most of my relatives are either out of state or in other countries. So for Thanksgiving, it's usually family, friends, and while some of them are stubborn, we've really not gone into anything controversial or, something that makes it unpleasant. For me, the food at Thanksgiving is kind of dull. But on the other hand, I like very seasoned things and stuff like that. My father really likes the holiday.
Family gatherings.
Bourbon, however you take it, is an absolute necessity before Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
My least favorite thing to do is to carve the turkey. So I thought, great, here's your fork,
You could
there's your
delegate.
knife.
Okay.
Excellent.
White and dark meat, have at.
Do you know what you're doing when it comes to carving
No,
a turkey? I feel
absolutely
like
not.
I trust you
But
somehow.
I'm gonna go for it.
Giant knife.
You were
Okay.
amazing with the pies. I have 100% faith
Oh
in you.
yeah, that was easier. That was definitely easier.
Okay.
Also, a lot of people that I know, or I don't know I don't know a lot of people and what they do for Thanksgiving. Or, I know a decent amount of people, but I don't ask them what they do for Thanksgiving. But for my family and from what I've seen in, pop culture, they use, an electric knife to carve the turkey. Because it's a lot easier. And it tends to cut cleaner as long as you're not being incompetent. It will have two blades running side by side that move back and forth, and they're serrated in opposite directions.
Wow. Okay. All right. We're jumping in with the turkey first. That is the biggest slice of turkey. You can't have all that as one slice.
Okay.
Wow. Why you? Well, why? Okay.
That.
Yeah.
Come on. Come on. Come on.
Okay. Okay.
Is that good?
That's a giant. That is
Okay,
a giant.
Look at that.
Yeah.
He said the
Slice
skin was good.
turkey breast. He did. He did.
All right.
Show it who's boss.
Okay.
Doesn't feel like Ollie is the boss in this situation. Oh, careful with that knife. My goodness.
What? No, I'm just
There you
getting the
go.
leg off. No, it's
Okay,
good.
okay. I'm just gonna lean back a little bit.
I don't blame you.
Oh, okay. Just wait. Okay, careful with the. Oh my gosh. Oh, okay.
There we go.
I didn't need a lot. I got enough already.
Oh god, sorry. I just need a.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
Cranberry relish
my gosh.
and gravy. And one of the things you're gonna learn is there's always more. So that's cranberry and brandy with little pearl onions. So just pick what you like and then pour some gravy on it.
Big bit of skin. Oh my god, that's really juicy. I really want to try the skin.
You're welcome for the immaculate slice of skin that I gave you. Are you thankful?
That is delicious.
Very salty. Very salty. It's got like a salt crust layer, but it's a bit crispy, and it's absolutely delicious.
Wow. Oh,
There's a lot going on.
oh. This is amazing.
All right.
That gravy's incredible.
Yeah,
You always have turkey with some bread, so we got some pumpkin bread. And
That's a
then,
whole loaf of bread.
and then cornbread too. Well,
Okay.
a half for each, but take what you need. Try the cornbread with the gravy on it. It's really good.
Okay, now I want to try this cranberry sauce. Let's get that.
Okay.
The two types of cranberry sauce. I love cranberry sauce. You know I have a bit of a sweet tooth. That's very different than the cranberry sauce you can buy at Tesco's.
Thank you.
Very different. Okay, I guess that was intended.
I'm just gonna keep on.
Wow,
piling
okay,
on.
keep going, keep going.
So this is stuffing. So I make a cornbread stuffing. It's got a little pork in it, fruit, the stock that I made from the first turkey that I roasted.
Okay.
So just give that a go. There's a small portion of that as well.
Oh my god.
I flipping love cornbread.
Now I'm not.
I know you're not a big fan, are you?
Huge fan of cornbread.
Love cornbread. You can't really get it in the UK.
I mean, I must say, this. It looks like maybe there's raisins going on here.
In the pumpkin bread, there is
Okay.
cranberries and
Okay.
raisins and
Okay.
walnuts.
Okay. All right. Okay.
And then the cornbread they're trying, because this is more of a southern cornbread. Every region has their own types of cornbread. This is more like cake. I think you'll like it.
Okay.
It's simultaneously very crumbly. No, I want the whole thing. You didn't take my cornbread.
Right.
You can have that now. You put your grubby fingers on
Okay.
it.
All right. Well, now I've touched that.
Okay. Dad. It's simultaneously like very crumbly as if it's dry, but it's really moist. Like buttery? Is that buttery?
So good.
There's a lot. There's butter, there's cream, there's a lot of fat in that, which is what makes it nice. And
Cake.
Oh, it's
You
delicious.
put some icing on that. That's cake. Right?
Basically, it's like a corn cake rather than a cornbread. Kind of.
You call that cake, I like it. You call that bread, I don't like it.
there you go.
Yeah. That bread there, Josh, it's not a looker, you know? It looks like something a peasant would eat in the 1600s. You know? Just like thrown out of a king's carriage as he goes past.
Okay.
And you're there just like digging up mud. I don't know what a peasant
Please,
do.
sir, can I have some more?
Please, sir. I want some more.
The size of this bread.
Okay. You want a big slice?
No, definitely not.
Oh, wow, look at that. I'm gonna take the big
You
slice.
take the big slice and then...
Heck yes.
Is Thanksgiving as chaotic as this?
Yes.
It is.
Okay.
It's a chaotic meal.
It's just a lot of eating, a lot of storytelling. Everybody reminisces. It's my favorite holiday of the year. Because more so than Christmas, because there's no distraction from just the family being together. It's just great family interaction.
Yeah. Jesus isn't getting up in there, trying to take all the attention.
That's you.
As
I'm
usual.
not going anywhere near
As
that.
usual.
I'm gonna let Ollie just die on that hill.
This is so moist. So moist. Full of, I have no idea what, just goodness.
I'm not exactly sure.
Absolutely
All
incredible.
right, I haven't eaten any of it.
There's a lot of raisins
For
in
fear
there.
of the...
I've never heard of people eating pumpkin bread for Thanksgiving. I mean, it doesn't exactly shock me that if people did, but I've never heard of it.
raisins.
There's a lot of raisins in there, and I love a good
Oh,
raisin.
you're right. It's kind of
Very
almost
moist.
squidgy. Yeah.
I want it with some cranberry sauce. Is that crazy? That feels maybe crazy. There's already cranberries in it. No, it's good. It's really good.
Wow.
There's a lot of spice. There's a lot of clove.
really
there's
is.
cinnamon. There's
Yeah.
nutmeg. Yeah, there's everything in there. It's
There's
really.
so much more flavour than in a classic British roast. I mean, maybe that's obvious just from looking at it, but there's so much more going on.
You're stretching the definition of bread here. It's like in a category of its own. I mean, I wouldn't want a BLT with that, right?
No, no, you wouldn't.
Okay.
But leftover sandwiches, because that's what you're gonna think of. The next day, you take this bread, you slice it, you toast it on the grill each side, slather.
Well, yeah, my father loves doing. It's a sort of stereotype that dads will, like, you know, make a sandwich out of the Thanksgiving leftovers, at least in America. Where it's like, you know, they put some cranberry sauce, some, like, turkey, a bit of the stuffing or mashed potatoes and other things in there, put between 2 pieces of bread and just, like, you know, eat it. My father likes eating the leftovers like that, or, you know, in the regular way. After Thanksgiving. My mother is out, so my father bought the Thanksgiving dinner, and then, you know, the smallest size they allowed him to buy was for 6 people. So my poor father is going to be eating nothing but turkey and stuffing for a while. That poor man. But, you know, it's sort of smart because he saves time in not having to cook stuff or do a bunch of extra dishes. I am going to cook for him one night to make, like, pad caprao. People don't care about my family. Whatever. Sorry.
It with some mayonnaise, and then put whatever leftovers you got of turkey, sides in there, and let's eat that. That's
Pumpkin bread.
There's also apparently a Delaware sandwich called the Bobby, which is basically a Thanksgiving sandwich. Except to do it all year round. However, I'm not going to drive all the way to Delaware just to try it.
that's
Turkey
good.
sandwich.
I think Thanksgiving it's at the wrong time of year though.
What do you mean?
It's harvest.
No,
It's
because
perfect, because we need something in
you
between.
know what we need? We need a February holiday.
February is late.
February is
late.
it is so grim. There's nothing to look forward to in February.
Well, this is also in the UK.
They
like,
try
you
with
don't-
Valentine's Day.
You don't see the sun.
But then you always, I don't know, you always get it wrong, and then you know you're in the doghouse.
Oh, wow.
You know, oh, I don't want to celebrate it. But okay, well then let's not celebrate it. You know.
These are a little warm. So be careful.
What's this?
Not to touch the sides.
What is that?
That's we're starting sides because you're just taking forever to
We're
get
taking so long.
to get to the pumpkin mac and cheese. So starting in on some smaller sides.
Pumpkin mac and cheese.
Okay.
It's not that small, is it?
All right.
Never heard of
That looks like
that.
a whole main course. Oh wow, I'm getting more and more thankful as the meal goes on. Is that the point of it?
Yeah.
So wait, is it slices of pumpkin with the cheese, or is it like the cheese is mixed with pumpkin seasoning, or is it just whatever?
Just like plow you with so much food and pumpkin spice goodness.
I've
that you
never
have
heard
to
of
be
pumpkin
thankful.
mac and cheese.
Here, I'm helping. I'm just gonna serve.
my God,
So
what is
this is sprouts. So this is sprouts with toasted walnuts
Oh.
and a little bit of gravy.
Those are Brussels sprouts.
Yeah.
Wow.
Those do not look like
And your
Brussels
plate.
sprouts. Oh yeah, okay, they're in there, hidden in all the.
So I'm not a huge. Oh, there you go. There's an extra one. You jumped on.
Lovely.
I'm not a huge vegetable fan myself.
Okay.
Okay.
So I like, when I was growing up and all the stuff we have always has sauces on it because it's kind of to mask the veg.
Yeah,
So
excellent.
this is one of them. So
Big fan of that.
it's got a sweetened vinaigrette that's made with sorghum. And it's got toasted walnuts in it, and then I just really burn and crisp up the outside of the Brussels sprouts so the outside's crispy and the inside's nice and gushy.
Wow. We used to serve ourselves at Christmas all the food, and then
Yeah.
me and my cousins, we'd try and eat the Brussels sprouts as quickly as possible so we didn't have to say thank you to God for them.
Before grace.
Yeah, before grace. So we just
That's
gobbled them down.
fantastic.
Oh yeah. Oh wow.
I can barely taste the Brussels sprouts.
Oh,
It's amazing.
exactly.
It's amazing.
The best way to have Brussels sprouts.
Yeah.
I would happily thank God for those.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, the texture's
Oh my
good.
gosh.
Pumpkin mac and cheese. We're really embracing the sort of season here. Whoa. This is thick.
Oh my
Chunky.
gosh, look at that.
Can you see this? Can you
at
see?
that.
Okay, you're not supposed to eat all of that at once.
Sorry.
Okay. Oh, that is beautiful. Oh wow.
Are we going to elaborate?
That's really, really.
You know what? The pumpkin texture, it just slips in there. You know?
Yeah.
It just slips in. And it fits. Because pumpkin texture is a bit strange, but it's not that different from a mac and cheese
Right.
texture.
Oh wow, try
So
it.
you can just slide it in there unnoticed.
Okay.
You take a bite, and you're like, there's something weird about that.
More. This is string beans, so it's a vegetable, but it's coated with a lot of cheese. It's got some chili in it. It has a homemade mushroom soup. So my mom used to make this, and we would use canned mushroom soup to make this, which is still delicious. But
Canned cream of mushroom soup, and then they put like these fried onions on top. That's an American classic that appears in. When Thanksgiving starts coming around, they start advertising the crap out of it, and it appears in a bunch of things, and it appears in a bunch of like coupon books, and it appears on. Basically, if it'll appear a whole lot, and it'll show you how to make it. It's just basically put string beans, dump can of Campbell's like cream of mushroom. Put it in oven, take out, dump on the already like fried onions, slivers. It's, I don't know. It's something that's so common here. I don't think I'd need to explain it to anybody who's lived here for any period of time, especially if they've been here around for like, or rather for people who've been to Thanksgiving. Attended a traditional American Thanksgiving, but like, yeah. Either way,
this is a slightly different variation on it, but just it's another way to hide some vegetables. I'm taking stuff away.
bean?
There's string beans in there if you dig around the cheese. See, there's one. I had to show you.
Okay, okay.
And chili. It's just getting more and more unhinged. This looks like a failed lasagna. That's what it looks like to me.
Oh, okay. Okay.
this is far from being a traditional Thanksgiving with all the weird things that they're just shoving in.
See, look at the string beans coming out.
Oh yeah, no, you're right. There are quite a lot of beans.
There are.
Okay.
Okay, how have you made these string beans taste good?
See?
I don't like beans normally like this. But these are really good. Creamy, which I guess is the mushroom soup.
Yep.
My God, there's so much going on.
And again, everything's extremely healthy if you take out the butter.
In some cases, the maple syrup. Yeah, okay.
This is a vegetable that we didn't put sugar in, but I put some meat in it to make it better. So this is a smoked ham hock with collard greens. And that is one of my favorite things. So you can have this with a little bit of the cornbread, and you can make a whole meal.
The smoked ham hock with hot collard greens is a traditional thing just here in America, but not really for Thanksgiving, or at least not unless I guess you're in certain parts of the South. But I guess he did imply that he is a good old Southern boy. God, I sound so cringy. And I have no viewers. Oh boy. Or at least on like this stream while I'm streaming now.
Out of that. That was like a great lunch.
We've had collard greens a couple of times.
Yeah.
I haven't always loved it.
No.
I'm a little confused as to what collard greens. Are they smart casual greens? What are they?
Back home we'd have them. So when I grew up, we'd have some mustard greens. So they're super bitter. So you cook
Yeah,
them
we've
down.
had them and they've been bitter.
Yeah, so you cook them down. Try these and see if.
With smoked ham hock. Well, that's not bitter at all. I have no idea how that works. That's good.
You know, I'm feeling the lack of sugar and butter.
There you go.
I am.
Yeah.
I think if
Just
you
even
added
different.
sugar and butter to that, maybe maple syrup, probably be better.
It would be even better.
Yeah, it probably would.
But that is, I mean, do you remember the first time we had it? I think they were cooked with lemon.
Yeah, they were very.
They were so sour.
But it's good that you said you were missing.
Yeah, oh, really? Okay.
So this is corn. This is what I've done to
this
corn.
is
So it's
hard.
corn with ricotta cheese and cheddar cheese.
Yeah, I do use OBS iSilfoil hats. Oh, so yeah, I didn't see you. I did not see you respond. Like OBS wasn't showing me the message. I just saw your message right now. My phone appears to be at full charge for right now, so I'm going to put it in front of me so I can more easily notice it. How are you doing? Yeah, for my microphone, I have it set up to like the maximum setting, which is sort of weird because sometimes you don't even really hear me. And I have it set for the desktop audio to be at half strength. Oh. How do you think I should fix, how would I fix that? What do you mean by a noise gate? Is that the, I have this thing which is sort of like a filter, which is like, you know, a little thing at the end of a pole with a little, like, mesh. I'll try using that, I guess. Does this sound any better? Oh yeah, that's a pop. Yeah, sorry about that. That's a pop filter, yeah. Also, I hope you're doing well. Yeah. But my microphone isn't all that close to my mouth, so I don't know if it's all that noticeable. But like, yeah. I guess I should probably keep it a little closer to my face. Alright, I moved the mic a bit closer. Do you think that's better? They remove the All right. Okay then. Maybe. I did have it right next to a hard drive. And the hard drive did have a fan, so maybe you're hearing basically or the hard drive had like an internal something or other, I don't know. I can lightly hear it. Not on the drive, but near the drive. No, it wasn't touching the enclosure. And also, 1 second. Let me check. There we go. I think I now have it set so that it will only okay, 1 second. So that it'll only detect sounds in front of me. Or detect sounds in front of the microphone, which should also cut out anything behind that is, causing issues. So, how are you doing, Foil Hats? That's good. I wanted to do this reaction before November is over. It's because it wouldn't make sense to do this in December, but so far it's not exactly been the enthralling content that I was hoping it would be, because all the stuff this guy is preparing is like so weird and strange. That took you a while to get. Okay. I'm trying to save up for a microphone that actually will allow me to put. Okay, 1 second. Yeah. So wait. All right, mic input. Filters. Okay, so I don't see anything. This is currently what I see. Or like filters for mic aux. Alright. Oh, sorry. Yeah, so no, yeah, I missed the press on the plus. Okay, noise gate. Alright. And okay, noise gate. Okay. Here, so is it working? Take both thresholds? Okay, now is it really All right, so it seems like it's Kate, like, you know. All right. It looks like it's just doing the same. So just let's see, just for a bit. Otherwise, okay, I'll do my best. I'll leave it as it currently sits. Okay. Well, thanks for telling me about that, Foil Hats. I guess I'll continue. Okay, so. But yeah, as I was saying, this seems so different than, you know, what is the traditional Thanksgiving items, that it's like normal Thanksgiving food is rather bland. It doesn't tend to use a ton of spices or seasonings. I mean, depending on where you are, it will affect what goes into it, but so far this seems like, oh my god, this is like, you know, the crazy version of each item. You see, one of the reasons why everything is pretty simple on Thanksgiving is because of the sheer volume of food that needs to be made. The turkey will take hours to make because it's a big old bird, especially if you're cooking it whole. And then on top of that, you need to cook for like 6+ people usually. Which means that you need to produce a lot, you need to do a lot of stuff. A lot of the items are carbs or carb heavy. But yeah, either way. Returning to the video.
And it's baked like a little souffle.
I'm sorry?
As in sweet corn.
It's sweet corn.
So cheesy corn baked as a
Cheesy
souffle.
ricotta corn. Look at that. And it's got fresh basil. Honest to goodness, this is my I keep saying this is my favorite. I'm a pig at Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's sort of the point.
Yeah.
I don't really eat sweet corn, my family.
Oh my gosh, wow. That is decadent. So much cheese. Oh wow, I don't really have any reference point for that. It's delicious.
It's kind of like a cheesy omelette if you replace all of the egg with cheese. So it's just cheese.
A bit of corn, there's corn in there. Yeah.
This is making me think about what I'm going to cook for Christmas dinner for my family.
Yeah, I mean, this is... We don't really get that adventurous with Christmas dinner normally. Or at least like the average pub you go to for Christmas dinner. They'll serve you the same ingredients every single year, every time.
Well, the thing is, we're still at an age where our parents are still alive. They've established the Christmas traditions, and so they're doing what they've always done.
Yeah.
But that won't always be the case. At some point, we're going to have to start establishing traditions.
It's true.
I mean, this is good. This is good background research.
Just introduce some of this
Yeah.
stuff.
So this is, and I have to say, a small sampling of a traditional Thanksgiving dinner, because there usually are more sides. I mean, everybody's going to say, I'm sure, oh, you didn't have this, you didn't have that, because it's true. There's a wide selection of great stuff.
So obviously America's much bigger than the UK, and I suppose even within the UK, if you go like up north in different areas, people will have slightly different things at Christmas, right?
Yeah.
I get the impression America is much bigger, more culturally diverse.
Well, I mean, yeah, we have states larger than the entire United Kingdom. Of course, we're going to have different things. And on top of that, you have different regions and different ethnic groups and different people with different, who came from different countries. Like some parts of the country have high amounts of German immigrants populations, other parts have high amounts of Italian, and other parts having like Polish or Russian. And then now, since, you know, I was born, there have been an influx of Asian immigrants. So, you know, they're bringing their own little things. Also, there are parts which have had a lot more Chinese influence on them. So, like, I forgot, but there was a black family who had been making, like, a duck dish for a very long time. And, like, I mean, for generations of their family. Yeah. Yeah. But it turns out that the family managed to actually had like a Chinese friend at some point that taught them how to make Peking duck. Oh yeah. I don't know about Britain Beach. I need to charge again because my phone is running out of power rapidly. Oh well. I'm going to leave the audio filter thing on just to make sure. I feel like I made a mistake. 1 second. With this. Or by uploading this content, or uploading this video. I mean, like, I'm happy that you're here, but I feel like I've picked the wrong video. This was not really interesting. Because all I basically am just doing is just like, this isn't all that traditional where I live. Brooklyn, New York. Alright. Okay. Well, yeah. This is, anyways. Ah. America, there was a large Russian population in New York. I don't know. There was a lot. But, My brain is not working. Sorry about that. But yeah. Technically, a lot of people used to call white people turkeys. Or, well, certain ethnic groups used to call white people turkeys. Or, I guess, certain people. Oh. Well, I hope you enjoyed it. The traditional American stuff that we eat for Thanksgiving is kind of bland, usually. It's not this extra special stuff that this guy's been doing. Because, you know, when you make the meal from scratch, you need to be able to spend hours in the kitchen. And oftentimes when you're having it, like, if there are 6 people at the meal, it is considered a small gathering. Yeah, well, I mean, you gave tech support. You've been talking. I've been more talking to you than focusing on the video. So it's not like there's been much of it to get bored at. But either way, it's supposed to be a reaction, so I guess I'll try to get started.
Thus, presumably not everyone's having exactly the same thing at Thanksgiving.
Not everybody's having exactly the same thing. Like my family, my mom was from Cuba.
Oh, yeah, well, deep frying a turkey is something a lot of people do, but it's also how a lot of fires occur. It's, as you can imagine, dunking an entire turkey, even a small one, into a vat of boiling of, like, you know, oil can lead to some well, yeah. When you deep fry things the right way, it turns out good. But I was going to bring up the UK, but the UK is no longer in the EU. The UK left. No, our deal's not favorable enough. We demand better treatment with our already extremely favorable deal. Good thing Person's not around, or other UK viewers. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's where a lot of the oligarchs tend to spend their time. Oh, yeah. It's fine. I don't want to turn this into like a political... This is supposed to be a fun video about Thanksgiving. It's not the complain about politics video. People who want to watch this and then see that, oh, this is just tech support and, you know, then what? Generic fools just whining about stuff. But yeah.
We would have black beans and rice with all of this as well. So that's exactly what I was saying. Is this is a pretty big sampling, but every family has their own cultural reference points, or they have specific to the region. Because this is very, I think, very southern skewed. What you're having.
This is your family's
That's where I grew up. Yeah.
version.
A brief break. This is when you would go check to see what time the games were starting.
Humming bad though? I don't know. I mean, at the start of the stream, since I don't have any background music, I tend to hum while I'm doing stuff, setting up the stream. La da da dee. Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. The good thing is that you have told me how to potentially fix the issue I was having before. You didn't tech support harass me. You just said, hey, there's a problem here. And then I'm like, okay, how do I fix that? If I tech support harassed you, I would be like, I'm fine. And you're like, do it, do it, do it, do it, do it, do it. But you were just asked once, I said sure. That's not tech support harassed. No. All right. I guess I'll continue then.
And then dessert comes out.
Normally, like at this point in the meal, I like have a distinct, clear impression in my mind of like what my favorite thing was. It's very hard to do that with this because everything is so new.
I'm also surprised he hasn't pulled out the sweet potatoes with the marshmallows, because that's an actual thing.
It's been so much.
It had stuff like not pineapple, like pumpkin mac and cheese, and they're not elaborating if it's macaroni, if it has the noodles and a pumpkin, if it just has chunks of pumpkin, if it's a puree of pumpkin, or they're just like, oh, it's just pumpkin mac and cheese. Like, I have never heard of this in my life. And they're like, oh, it's nice because, you know, the pumpkin has sort of the same texture as the noodles. And I'm like, I can't tell what this is.
Amazing new flavors.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It feels like the first time we went and tried Southern fried chicken for the first time, and they just threw like all these new flavors at you, and it's just overwhelming. You're like, what?
It's so interesting that there's like this whole holiday that has all these different traditions.
Yeah.
We think of ourselves as quite similar to America. You know, we speak the same language. We have a lot in common. We used to own them. We burned down the White House.
Okay, I'm just disowning it. What I was
We
not
did
alive.
burn. It's
was
a
not
historical
alive.
fact.
Okay.
We burned down the White House. We did.
Okay, well, you may have noticed we have our own Jolly t-shirts now. Little cheeky takeout merch. If you want to get your own Jolly t-shirt, go to jolly.store or click the link in the description.
You'll be very thankful you did.
Yeah. Very, very thankful.
Oh, the self-plug.
So we had sweet potato pie, pumpkin pie, and pecan pie last time.
Last time, that's true. And those are
Yeah.
a lot of traditional, classic Thanksgiving pies.
Yeah.
And you now have coconut custard, and that is buttermilk pie, which, interestingly enough, is a recipe specifically from the great-grandmother of one of your viewers.
What? Sorry? So one of the jolly viewers?
Yeah,
the
one
jolly
of the
beans
viewers,
sent
and we've been
in a
chatting.
recipe.
A lot of them, they've been great, and we've been having a lot of conversations.
That's so sweet.
And this is from the last Jolly video. People
That
have
was from the
reached
last
out to
Jolly.
you.
Yeah, have
That's
reached out
amazing.
and shared some stories, which has been fantastic. So I'm always happy to hear about family recipes, and that one should be really delicious. And your favorite sweet potato pie.
Okay, because this is a Thanksgiving must-have.
Yeah.
I mean, that's such a showstopper.
Well, for me, pumpkin pie is the must-have for Thanksgiving. But yeah. I don't know. If I finish this, if I'm going to play another one or another Thanksgiving-related video. I'm thinking I'm burning out on like the. Hey, no problem. Oh, what? No, your entire life revolves around me. Should it revolve around me to the detriment of your family? Don't you know that? It's like, no, of course it's fine. Clearly your family takes priority over me. I'm not your boss. You can do what you want. The fact that I appreciate the very fact that you are here. Even if you're AFK. That's a sweet potato pie. Although, depending on where you get it, you may not get that much amount of whipping cream. And actually, I'm not sure if it's whipping cream or if it's a... You know, the worst part is I work at a bakery. And, a meringue. It might be a meringue. Though actually, now that I think about it, my bakery doesn't make meringue. So, you know, I guess it's... You know, it's... I mean, just sort of like the same line of thought that, like, just because you work at a fast food restaurant doesn't mean you make hamburgers. But still. I did at one point learn how to make meringue when I was training. But yeah. Sweet potato... I'll go back, I guess, a little. Well, nah. There's, 1 second. Yeah. Last time they had a sweet potato pie, a pumpkin pie, and a pecan pie.
Pumpkin pie, and pecan pie last time.
Last time, that's true. And those are a lot of traditional, classic Thanksgiving pies.
Yeah.
And you now have coconut custard, and that is buttermilk pie, which, interestingly enough, is a recipe specifically from the great-grandmother of one of your viewers.
What? Sorry? So one of the John...
So yeah, one of their viewers brought it in. Then he brings out the sweet potato pie. I'm just gonna go back now.
That's such a showstopper pie, isn't it? Look how good that looks. Do you want to start with the Milky Boy?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, look at that.
Oh, wow.
Very soft texture. Oh, wow. It almost looks like it's literally just melted butter in there.
Well, no.
Wow. 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 That is. Yeah. That is
Oh my
so
God, it's
creamy.
It's so good.
So buttery.
It's so good.
So sweet.
It's like a pre-evolved cheesecake, you know?
Interesting.
You know, like the milk hasn't quite made it to cheese yet.
Okay. Unchurned. Just like
unchurned.
deconstructed.
Yeah, it's earlier in the evolutionary process.
Yeah. Oh. You should try that. Do you know what I mean?
It reminds me of like, you know, you make a cake
Yeah.
and then you lick the bowl out.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
That's what it tastes like.
Like cake batter.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a classic Southern pie because you always have buttermilk. I grew up having buttermilk in the mornings, and I used to not like it so much, and now I really do like it. It's just nice, sour, and good for your gut. So look, again, again,
There you go.
health benefits.
Healthy.
The gut
You
bite.
gotta eat the entire pie. I mean, come on. You want to live forever, right? What could possibly go wrong eating an entire pie in one sitting? I'm sure there are plenty of Americans who do it. That's it. For legal reasons, that is a joke.
Biome.
Yeah.
It's not going to
Do
maintain
not take dietary advice from Generic Fool's Test. It will not end well.
itself.
Exactly.
Than a Yakult.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Take this over a Yakult any day.
100%. Could you make a Yakult pie? All right.
Wow, that is so good.
I know.
I forgot. But I've forgotten what. But one second, I'll just look it up because I don't. Oh, I was expecting it to. I was going to say other way. Buttermilk. Yeah, it is sort of a fermented thing. It's just yeah. It was it's liquid left after churning butter out of the cultured cream. Yeah. And it's used a lot. So a lot of times around the country you can get, in the South they use it in a lot of things. But in the US, buttermilk pancakes are probably the most common thing you can get almost anywhere. Yeah. The problem is that when you go to different countries, not knowing the term for something you're familiar with can be hard. I can't remember, but I heard the story of somebody who was from the Soviet Union formerly, who did move to the US, and they deeply missed something that they used to be able to eat and drink, or drink like back when they lived, in the USSR. But they're like, oh, it's a shame that we just don't have that here in America, because no, not kvass. Kvass is another drink, which most Americans have no idea what the hell kvass is. But you can get kvass at like Polish, Russian, or former Eastern Bloc country grocery stores or stuff like that. Kefir is something that I believe is known a bit more, or at least well. No wait, I'm thinking about kefir lime leaf, I guess, or is that it? I don't know, but either way, I think it might have been buttermilk. The thing I was originally talking about might have been buttermilk as well, but the guy spent years living here, basically constantly missing the thing from his home country. And then one day, well, yeah, it is. Okay. Because for Americans, there's something that we use called kefir lime leaves. But, or at least I think it is. I don't know. My knowledge on the subject is very minuscule. I am an American who does not have any deep cultural ties to my family's ancestry. So I'm basically generic white bread American. But yeah, it was just sort of funny, as I said, like the guy didn't know the term for the thing he was looking for, and then just stumbled upon it one day and was just like, wait a second, this is exactly what I've been looking for, what the hell? And then, it's like, oh, well, nope, it's fine, I have the one thing I was missing. But yeah, oftentimes just figuring out the term or the local terminology can help you get stuff that you thought might not have been easily accessible. I don't know. I apologize, I'm rambling, but yeah.
I've literally had to stop myself.
Forcing myself to not finish that. Okay. Next up.
This is coconut custard. Okay.
Wow, you can see the sort of shredded coconut.
Yeah.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
I'm not a huge fan of coconut. But yeah.
It's like that one.
But with loads of coconut
Loads of coconut.
and custard. The aftertaste is all custard.
I love that.
The initial taste is all coconut.
You know what? It's a genius move putting custard inside a pie. Because normally you put
normally you
custard
pour it
on
on top.
But you're saving yourself all of the effort of pouring the custard on.
Can I just say, David, all of your pies, incredible crust. The crust is top notch. Best pie crusts I've ever tasted. Yeah, without even any of the fillings in them.
Oh!
Look at that!
Congratulations to me on that slice, by the way.
Bloody brilliant, mate.
Wow.
Is this crazy? I really want to do this with my hands. Wow. Wow, David. Oh, I feel like that's even better than last time.
Yeah.
Now, I feel like I've heard about people having this as one of the sides, as a part of the main course. In
Since
fact,
we were having the pie, but yes, you would have sweet potatoes in all kinds of different fashions. You can even have a mashed.
so you could have it as dessert if you want. You could have.
People will sometimes have it sliced with like nuts on it. Sometimes, though, a lot of people will mash it and put like marshmallows on top of it, and then they might also put some nuts on top of that too. But basically just like that. Well, I mean, they'll put it in the oven so the marshmallows get slightly toasted. But yeah, that's it.
Have it as.
You could have it as both.
main-
Why limit yourself?
Okay, amazing. Amazing. America, the land of the free. This is liberty right here. That is freedom to just take a giant pie and stick an enormous meringue on it and eat it with your hands.
And at what point in the meal do you go around and say what you're thankful for?
Is that a thing that people actually do, or is that just in the movie?
Everybody's different. Some people.
I have never done that. I have not seen anyone do that, but I mean, I'm sure there are some people who do.
Well, you know, say grace beforehand. We didn't. We just ate.
Okay.
Well, my family, we just thought about what we were thankful for as we were feasting.
Okay, yeah. It was usually the food.
Just got straight into it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm very, very thankful to you, David, for not only feeding us just incredible food, but I feel like giving us a genuine cultural experience that we wouldn't be able to otherwise have.
Thank you. I'm glad to do it.
Yeah, I'm thankful for you too, David. I don't want that to. Obviously, he started with that, so it feels a bit lame if I'm just going to repeat it. Yeah. But same.
Ditto.
I'm also thankful for all of our viewers.
Hey, very
Yeah.
good. Because without them, this wouldn't be
Oh,
possible.
you're also same? With
Well, I'm
that?
saying.
Yeah.
It was implied in my thankfulness
was.
because it wouldn't be possible without them
All right.
for us to be
So
here.
we're both thankful for the same things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Detroit style pizza. That's good. Making your partner feel like they actually are needed or like they're special is something that's important. I don't know, I've met people who are just like, I bet she understands it. I don't think it needs to be said. But, you know, there are some people who, you know, will get it. And then there are other people who, yeah, I'm also sorry. I just keep getting all the Sweet Baby, all the game stuff, and I'm just like getting sick and tired of it. Yes, these people suck. But, yeah, God, what was it? My brain. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I wish I had a partner, but I'm sort of awkward. The other video I was considering watching was like this one here, where it's like how U.S. Thanksgiving wasn't what I expected. Lost in the Pond is a sort of interesting channel. So it's more interesting for people who are from the UK, because it will clear up some of their misconceptions that they have about the U.S. Well, yeah, and it's also just sort of. Well, the good thing is I finally got my singing instructor who I end up spending most of my sessions with him, not actually singing but talking, to understand what I was trying to tell him about, like, the gaming people in gaming. Because when I tell him people are getting tired of it, he's an old gay man who grew up during the time when there was really bad oppression for gay people. Not they get genetically sterilized kind of oppression, or where people can just murder them in the streets, but where violence against them would be not looked down upon or stopped. Oh no, that also occurred in America. Hi, person, you came during the genetic sterilization talks. What a time to drop in. I don't know. I do know it did occur in the U.S. But yeah. So the problem with talking to my singing instructor was that any harsh feedback regarding a group that claims to support, gay, trans, the LGBTQ plus community, to him just sounds like racism, or sexism, or homophobia, or one of the other bad things. Which is, I try to tell him, like, no, they're giving bad publicity and they're making them look bad. But like 2 weeks ago, we got into a big argument over it, and I just got so fed up because his immediate response was that we are all sexist, racist, and homophobic. When I'm just like, God damn it, not again, because everyone does that. So last Monday, I actually told them a bit more, and I had thought about what I was trying to say. And now he's like, yeah, no, that is horrible. Like, they're just making them look bad. And I just told him, like, gamers don't care about the gay or trans people in the game. But when it's being sort of like bludgeoned in your face in a terrible way, and the game isn't fun, and the story is boring, and people are like, the game isn't fun and the story is boring, and then people are like, homophobe! Like, don't get me wrong, the people who are homophobic do exist. But it's so stupid, oh my god. Like, what I'm talking about now is, like, they recently, or like somewhat recently, talked about how certain games are being protested because of non-binary representation. And one of the examples they gave was the Hogwarts game. The one that they were protesting openly. Yeah. Yeah, and then outside of that, they've cut back most of these options, or the things you can pick or choose for your character. But yeah, but either way, they were like, people protested Hogwarts Legacy because of the fact there was a trans person in the game. And I'm just like, that's not why it was being protested. You were protesting. Oh yeah, but they're just like, people hated that game because there was a trans person in it. I'm like, you were protesting and harassing people because you don't like J.K. Rowling, and she was like peripherally related. But just like that was, and I told my instructor about the harassment that people were doing for that game, and what happened with the VTuber named Pikami, who, God, that's one of the reasons why I get angry all this, because they were like, we are fighting for a cause and we're protecting freedoms. The story about poor old Pikami. Pikami loved Harry Potter when she was growing up. So, when the Hogwarts game came out, sorry, I don't know, something fell. She, no, stop charging. Need to charge. Please charge phone. Don't die on me now. There we go. Okay. But yeah. She made a poll and said, should I play the Hogwarts game? People said, don't play the Hogwarts game. She was like, okay, I won't play it then, and went on with her life. But you see, the people who are spreading hate towards people for playing that game saw that and were like, no, how dare she? Oh yeah. But they just started harassing her. And then some of them were harassing her because they thought she was Pippa. Because Pippa was just like, I'm playing the Hogwarts game, fuck you! Yeah. Well, for the art versus artist thing, there is one case in which I can give an example where, yeah, well, Pippa's just unhinged, and, we all love her for that, just, you may not want to go into a Walmart with her, though, but yeah. Because people thought Pikami was Pippa, so they just decided to harass poor Pikami. And when these people were confronted with it, it's like, well, it's not my fault. You're bullying me. How could you bully me? And it's like you're bullying other people and you're harassing them. But I had good intentions. It's just like you care so much about this subject that you can't even bother to make sure you're harassing the correct person. Which, that's just... Now, you see, I've had non-binary and trans friends, and I learned about non-binary and trans people before it became mainstream. Well, I actually knew, when I was in college, I actually knew physical people who I interacted with who were. And they were just, people trying to live and do their own thing. So, for me, while I'm not in contact with a lot of them anymore, it's just like... Okay, yeah, but... the reason why I get so angry about this topic is because I have, as I said, I've known people who suffered from that stuff, and it's hard. There's a lot of ignorant people out there who give them, and their life isn't exactly easy, but there's a difference between the regular people who are, as I said, just trying to be who they are and live their life versus, the people online who are like, I demand your attention. Or, just scream at you if you accidentally misgender them. Most of the trans people who I've known will basically, if you misgender them, they're just like, actually, well, they don't go like, actually, they're like, excuse me, I'm actually this, so if you could please, address me like that, and then, it's just like, okay, sure, and, just... Yeah, well, the problem is, trans people do actually go through a lot, and they their rights do matter and all that other stuff, but the problem is there are a bunch of people treating it like a fad, which that is not what it is. And like that's where the sort of nonsensical part of it comes in, where I've had people go up and go, "Hey, what my gender actually means is that sometimes, I mean, I like to wear pants, but sometimes I like to wear a dress. And this person is biologically female. So, you know, the, but yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. And having problems with your physical appearance versus your actual, you know, appearance, or what you feel you should look like, is very hard. A lot of people aren't happy with who they are. And when people sometimes hear about trans, and also, welcome to the stream, we tangy wet mango. Sorry about that. Man, I can read. Totally, I can read. Oh my god. But you know, just and thanks for the follow. But there are people who feel like, oh, I don't exactly fit in, or you know, the age-old stereotype of a, a biological woman who does not exactly, you know, fit in with the cultural norms and stereotypes of women. Being told, like, you need to be more dainty, you need to do this, you need to do that. Or, you know, if you're a biological male and it's like you like to sew, or you like to dance, or you like, you know, things are not considered the manly stereotype. And then people are just like, what are you, a girl? I mean, some of these people are, you know, transgender, but for others, they're just people with different hobbies. And the problem is when they are told that the only way for them to possibly feel comfortable with themselves is to have or at least in America, it's extremely expensive and potentially dangerous surgery. That is, I don't know. Well, yeah. It's ultimately we're all people, and there are good people, there are bad people, there are people who. I remember the time when there were people who would fake conditions to get sympathy. Years ago, like I think it was over 10 years ago, there was this streamer who was in a wheelchair during his stream and talked about how he couldn't walk, or, you know, do this, and he talked, you know, he won the hearts of people through discussing the hardships he went through and all that other stuff. Yeah. And then, you know, one day he thought he ended the stream, and then he stood up and walked off. And people were just like, "Excuse me, sir, I thought you said your legs did not work." And he was like, miracle! It's a miracle of God! But yeah, and then, you know, that was bad. But yeah. Like, I mean, to be fair, there are people who will fetishize anything. But trying to say stuff like, there are no LGBTQ plus people who are bad or are, you know, capable of committing crimes. That's stupid. Though they are people. Good saying that good people exist implies the existence of bad people. And just, you know, you need to think of everyone as human beings. You shouldn't try raising people on a pedestal. Everyone makes mistakes. There are good people who can do bad things, and there are bad people who can do good things. Oh yeah, and then there's also the people who try to fake having a mental disability. Like, I actually have Asperger's syndrome, and it's something I really try to struggle with and manage. But I've met people online who've gone like, I have Asperger's syndrome. That means I don't understand social cues. So you can't get mad at me for saying terrible, terrible things to you. You have to forgive me because it's my disability. It is a disability. And as I said, I've spent a long time trying to manage it. But, like, or there's the people who fake having Tourette's because they just want to, say stuff. But of course, these are, obnoxious people who just go oh, I'm so tragic, and like just basically imitating what they've seen in Hollywood movies and stuff like that. That's just bull. I hope I did not scare away Tangy Wet Mango. That would be bad. I get pretentious sometimes. Yeah. But I don't know. I just wish that people would do representation better and do it the justice that it deserves, or get the representation that we deserve. Like, you have to understand, one of the reasons why gay people started becoming so accepted in the culture, or at least in America, in the just culturally, is because they kept putting gay characters in shows and media, and then they just sort of, made it the norm, made it acceptable. And just rather than, just screaming out loud at people that this way is the right way, you catch more flies with honey. Yeah, well, I mean, you've brought that bulge up before. I mean, it's yeah, but also they also remove several other sliders because they don't like it if you can make a conventionally attractive character. And then they're like, "Why is it that nobody likes this game?" It's just like, hey, gaming industry, I'm going to tell you a bit of a secret. Did you know that women also like attractive women? And that some men like also playing as attractive men? But yeah, just, I don't know. People are becoming and what's worse is all those people are just too sensitive. I've had several people try to yell at me, their ideology, and talk about how I only stay in my, echo chamber, and then I'm always only sticking to my safe spaces and all that stuff like that. At which point I counter their view, and then they're basically just like, no, I'm a monster because I don't exactly repeat the same exact thing they say. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. That and a lot of the stuff that they're doing is just the same old shit that they've done before. To me, it almost seems like if they know they have a crap game, they'll talk about those points to make and place more of an emphasis on the inclusion. So that way, when their game does poorly, they can basically say, "Oh, it's not that the game was shit. It's just that the people are racist and sexist." And like the Assassin's Creed Shadows is a great example because they're just like, "Oh, we're going to put the one black guy in like Japanese history. And then we're going to make him a samurai. We're going to have a bunch of Japanese people bow down to him. And it's just like we are the only people who would have problems with these are racists." And it's like, no. Yeah, they mixed up the architecture. They stole, like, other things. Now, you see, you'd think they have hired a consultant who is there to help make sure that issues like these don't happen. That's why Sweet Baby is a fucking fraud, and other ones like them. Because that's what a consultant is for. Their job, especially for cultural sensitivity, which is what they're supposed to do, is make sure that things occur in the game. Like, I'll use a military consultant as an example. That would be to make sure that soldiers in game do what soldiers would actually do. Or, you know, a history consultant would say, "Oh, if the game is taking place in this time, then it should have this type of architecture." Or, if they had like a Japanese consultant, they'd probably say something like, "Hey, having this foreigner go around killing Japanese people, and, you know, also have it so that everyone bows down to him and shows subservience to this foreigner, that would totally go well in Japan." Yes, exactly. Oh, yeah. Well, here's the thing. I think on some level, Johnny Somali knows he's being an asshole. So, you know, I'm not saying he's a good person, but I think he understands that he's being an asshole. He's doing it for content. So, I think I'm not saying he has full awareness, but he has, I believe, at some minuscule level, a degree of self-awareness. Not much, though, because he's a moron. But there's a huge difference between having even a fraction of self-awareness versus doing all that shit and then thinking people are going to put you on a pedestal as a hero, which Ubisoft basically assumed that everyone was going, like, people in Japan would be completely fine and that they could do no wrong. And then they're trying to say that the reason why Japanese have the issue is because of Yosuke, which, yeah, he is one part of it, but it's like one of the lesser. He is an issue, but there are so many more. Like, as I said, I mean, like you said, like how they're mocking the Hiroshima Memorial. They are, you know, just using Chinese architecture. They're using AI probably to generate stuff, because if you've seen in some of the like trailers, there are parts where the stairs don't match up to like an opening, which I feel like if a human made that, then they would probably not have that. And even in the trailers that they've showed, it's just so shit. Like, have you seen the drunk Japanese people? Like, actually, let's see, what is this? 1 second. Nope. Oh, I should just. Okay. I probably won't have enough time for this. Okay, one second. Dismiss. Yeah, it's 21 minutes. But yeah, I'll show you a little bit of it. Because have you seen this video? It's great. And showing all the shit things.
No, we needed to talk about this right here. This is egregious.
そんな
Looking at
こ
it.
と言ったらトーマス・ロックリーが出てくるよ鼻の穴から
You know I have to edit that in now.
壊れちゃったじゃん飛んだりするから
Yasuke, you gotta take care of your shit, bro. Oh, so they be standing out here with spatulas then. Hey, let's check out the most recent
yeah.
Assassin's Creed video.
Oh, you did? Okay, then. Well, if you did see it, then, yeah. Person, are you watching? Oh, it's just you and me. But... oh, you are still here. It just says I have 2 people. Have you seen the assassins, the drunk Japanese people, like, react to this? Oh, yeah, it is. Okay, well... I've already seen it, so if I did a reaction, it would just be like, oh, hey, yeah, this is funny. I've seen it already. Just 1 second. I'm going to send you the video, person. It is funny. Because it points out all the stupid stuff that Ubisoft did. And, like, you know, how all the things they did wrong. Well, like, actually, should I? I'm sort of conflicted because I sort of want to watch this, but at the same time, I'm trying to keep this video as close to the content I set it for. Because, you know, if I'm doing a food stream, I would like to at least be able to label it that and not have to add a ton of different stuff like, oh, the Assassin's Creed drama, and this is from months ago anyways. But yeah, I do recommend you look at it. It's just like, yeah, actually there's another one too.
Hey, yo, what up?
Oh, well, this is, yeah, sorry. I'm just going to send that also to person. I think this is the second one. But yeah, it is just horrible. The stuff that was in that game, and like all the things that they did that were just like lazy, and you know, just the guy who they got their data from was basically writing fan fiction, and the biggest example of that is his book. He was a Japanese professor. I don't know if he still is, but in Japan, his oh my god. The gay man has 666K viewers on that video. But yeah, sorry about that. Oh yeah, they go into great depth pointing out stuff. But I got sidetracked and forgot the point I was originally going to make. But oh yeah, the guy. In Japan, his book has it written that it is fiction. Or fiction, yeah, it's fiction. That it's not based on history. But outside of Japan, his book is written, this is 100% accurate fact. This is what actually happened. And then on Wikipedia, he basically, yeah. And if you actually like look at Yosuke and the things that they talk about, he was basically either a slave or a pet, basically. like one of the things that they did when I know because I actually saw some of the documentation that exists about Yosuke. Ironically, I read it long before Shadows came out. And that was it's covered by a channel called Voices from the Past, where they talk about how they brought Yosuke, some missionaries brought Yosuke as a slave, and then some Japanese people in service to Nobunaga Oda saw him and were like, "What's that?" And it's just like, "Oh, he's just, like an African." And then he's like, "We'll buy that thing." Yeah, nobody cares about actual historic fact. As a sort of cute but also really racist thing that they did when they brought him to Nobunaga is they thought that he had just put color on himself. Maybe. But I think Afro Samurai isn't claiming to be historically accurate. It's more just Samuel L. Jackson doing and some other people just doing their own thing. Yeah. But like you yeah. It's just a sort of thing where it's like, people don't have an issue with it when you're not claiming it to be historical fact. It's just sort of like there's a movie called, I think, The Woman King, where it's about a troop of women warriors that existed in Africa. And if you watch the movie is the premise of the movie is just, like a group of women warriors who could defeat anyone. They were unparalleled, and they fought for the freedom of their neighbors and the people. And, like they fought against the Europeans, which, that's, if you look into the historical fact about, like, the actual tribe they're talking about, their tribe was one of the slave empires of Africa, which a lot of people don't exactly cover it. Whenever they talk about slavery, they talk about it as if Europeans arrived on Africa and just decided to run all over the place, which, if you have to remember, if you're American, remember what happened when the Europeans came to America and the natives suffered horribly because of all the diseases and, bacteria that to Europeans was normal, but they had not adapted to. People who, what Europeans who tend to land on Africa and stay for a long time got horribly ill. So they didn't want to stay. They would go to one of these slave empires, basically buy slaves, yeah, and then leave. So the job of the tribe that the Woman King is based off of is to abduct, kill, and enslave their neighbors and then sell them to white people. And also the Muslims. So, that's like, why are you the original actress who they wanted to play the main character of that movie did some research on it and immediately backed out because she did not want to be a part of this, because it was like, it's Birth of a Nation kind of crap, where you're taking a terrible group and then trying to put it in a heroic light. Birth of a Nation is a movie about the Ku Klux Klan and trying to portray them as heroic knights defending America, and it is an excessively racist movie. It is also historically significant because it did a lot of stuff which makes it still have sort of Hall of Fame level achievements. Yeah, it is a ultra racist movie. If you can think of anything racist, it has it in it. Blackface, and unlike Tropic Thunder, where everyone in the movie is in on the joke, and despite how people could complain about Tropic Thunder and the use of blackface, they have someone in the movie telling them that it's fucked up. They're not trying to say that it's all right. But but like in in Birth of a Nation, blackface is used to dehumanize, try to an attempt to dehumanize black people. I haven't actually watched the movie. I've just seen clips. But actually the negative stereotype about watermelon and fried chicken also comes from that movie. No. Yeah. But like historically, or the positive connotation with black people and fried chicken is, well, it's frying foods used to be used as a way of preserving foods so that it would last longer. It was very different from how we eat it now. And it's something that they did to ensure that they had stuff to eat. So they do stuff to make it taste better. And, it's just like, yeah. Watermelon is also when black people came free, or when the slaves were freed. Watermelon is one of the first crops that they grew to help them actually, make a living for themselves and start to, do a little bit better than just surviving. Yeah. So, for them, it had important cultural significance because it was, a symbol of their past. Like, for the fried chicken, it was their preferred preserving method at the time. And for like the watermelon, it was almost a symbol of something that helped them. That was a symbol of their new earned freedom. Of course, in Birth of a Nation, it was done because, well, you know, watermelon and fried chicken are two foods you cannot eat in a dignified manner, especially back then before boneless. So, you know, they were trying to dehumanize them, as I said, by basically having the guy wearing the full black face, going bug eyed, and then just literally rubbing the food all over his face, dripping it all over the place, trying to act like a savage. As I said, Birth of a Nation use of it is purely for racism. Well, yes, that's another thing. Whenever people talk about slavery, they tend to not discuss the fact that, for most of human history, slavery was local people. And just try to act like black people were the only people who were ever enslaved, where for a long time of their history, black people enslaved other black people and used them as slaves, and then white people enslaved white people. And one of the reasons why they started sending black people to the United States is because all the Jewish children that they sent died. All the white Jewish slaves Jewish children slaves they sent couldn't handle it and died in transit. But like, yeah. And then on top of that, they didn't also bring up the fact that after the civilized world basically, or like, well, not civilized world, but after the United States and Europe stopped dealing in slaves, they didn't talk about how the Muslim nations continued to, buy and use slaves. Now, you might be asking, like, in all the places that did use African slaves, there's a large black population there. But you know, in the Middle East, there's not always a huge number of them. One second. What? I guess allow. I don't know. There's some comment that appeared. Yeah. Well, yes. But the problem is the reason why there aren't as many, you know, people of African descent in the Arab nations that did use slavery is because they had their slaves castrated before getting there. Now, it's sort of interesting because the Quran forbids the act of castration. So, to get around this, the Muslim buyers would basically tell the traders to have them castrated prior to having them sent to their country, which was expensive. And as you can imagine, in an age before, you know, antibiotics and anesthetic and proper medical procedures, they had to, like, a lot of them died from infection before even reaching there. But they still kept doing it because of how goddamn profitable it was. Now, now, of course, you know, it's common to just blame Whitey, but, you know, they don't talk about that. They don't look into that. And then I also found out that the guy who wrote Roots, which is a movie which covers, or a series which is supposed to cover slavery, the person who wrote it exaggerated a ton of stuff or made up stuff because, you know, he wanted to, well, I can't remember and I don't want to put words in his mouth, but he just wanted to basically make a film that would make people feel bad. So, you know, that's just either way. Anyways, I've gone a bit too much off topic into that. I'm supposed to be covering Thanksgiving stuff. This is getting way too heavy. Either way, I'm also not trying to say that slavery wasn't bad. It's horrible. But the difference is that you can't just say one side is evil for using slavery and then ignore all the other slavery that was going on. Or, you know, just blaming. As I said, there's out of all of Europe, only one European nation actually went to Africa on slave raids, and that was Portugal. All the other slaves were bought through, as I said, like the slave kingdoms and slave empires that came around. And even then, the warrior women, I forgot to mention about that whole thing. The warrior women that appeared in that story, or in that thing, was basically a harem, a part of the king's harem. So, you know, it's more like, if I remember correctly, that wasn't as uncommon because a king didn't want, most kings who had harems didn't want, you know, men to guard their women because they would be afraid of the men getting attached or developing relationships with the women. But either way, so, you know, that, and they're just like, oh, you know, white people change history to suit their narrative. It's like, what are you doing? You're changing a ton of shit. But either way, this has gone way too dark. I'm going to be going on to the especially since Person is here, I'm going to be, oops, sorry. Like, going, I guess I'll try covering Lost in the Ponds video. In a second. Just going to, yeah, there, I've gone a little bit too dark. Yeah, because, you know, white people evil and anything outside of it. I'm not trying to say that there aren't evil white people who've existed. I mean, absolutely. But you can't just talk about, you know, the one thing. You need to cover other things, too. Also, I guess I'll just start watching this. Yeah. Yeah, it is. Well, part of it is. Because Eastern Russia is pretty Asian. Or in appearance, Asian. You see, that's technically Russia. It is technically a part of it. However, you are right, as in the Russian government does not really consider it a part of Russia. Well, it considers it a part of Russia as the Soviet Union considered Ukraine a part of the Soviet Union. But either way, yeah, sorry. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. As I said, as the same way that the Soviet Union treated Ukraine, just nah, fuck you. We'll take everything of yours that we want, and then you suffer. But yeah, getting too dark for this video. So let's go back to like how U.S. Thanksgiving wasn't what I expected. This is for you, person, as a UK person.
Miles from my current home, the only frame of reference I had for... As somebody who grew up 4,000 miles from my current home, the only frame of reference I had for the American life I now live was American TV and film. In the 80s, much like today, these infiltrated Britain in much the same way British music infiltrated America. As a child, I was in love with the Goonies, not to mention Andy from the Goonies. I watched Back to the Future 47 times
DeLorean.
in the same week. And then at some point, in the late 80s, I was introduced to a very specific American comedy. Now for context, you have to understand that back then, my dad used to go on business trips to London. And this was always quite exciting because it meant he'd return with a mystery VHS following a successful...
Also, Full Hats, I don't mind talking about that subject, the subject we were talking about. It's just that when I am doing a stream which is about like, oh, look, it's British people reacting to Thanksgiving, and then it's just like an hour's worth of me talking about things like war crimes and like stuff like that. I don't want people to watch this video like, oh, yeah, hey, this is going to be, let's watch a fun little, like, you know, nothing burgers type stream. And then it's just like, oh, I wasn't expecting this at all. I didn't want him to go into all this heavy shit. Why is he covering all this heavy shit? Oh my God. Sorry about that.
Track record of delivering eye-popping entertainment. My dad, apparently, decided on a different approach with an American movie that I did not recognize. Planes, Trains and Automobiles, said my very English dad. It's about a bloke who's trying to get home for, I think they call it Thanksgiving. It's meant to be right funny. Given that I was expecting Karate Kid 2, my disappointment was palpable, and so the tape lay dormant until I was bored one Sunday afternoon. I put it on, and sure enough, my dad was right. It was funny. To the extent that my best friend and I used to copy the bit where Steve Martin says the F word 18 times. Sorry, Mum, if you're just learning about that. But after several watches, there was one question that kept popping into my head. What on earth is Thanksgiving? Well, 20 years...
I mean, I think most people learn about Russia, or like, you know, the Soviet Union, from like watching movies like the Rocky movie where, you know, Drago, or, you know, The Hunt for Red October. So, ours is or James Bond films. So that's like yours, while giving us a glorified view of it, where it makes it seem like, oh man, it looks like the U.S. is much better than it is. Our view of yours was of, well, you don't live in the USSR collapsed a long time ago, but well, yeah, it's just not favorable.
Years later, after moving to the United States, I found out firsthand, and it wasn't what I was expecting. The first surprise is that Thanksgiving wasn't simply another word for Christmas. And I know to Americans that might sound weird because Thanksgiving isn't Christmas. But the film gave me more than one reason to believe that it was. Firstly, they're driving around in lots of snow, which in Britain is a fairly rare event, but if it does occur, it usually does so in winter and not autumn. I have since realised and was reminded just the other day that in the American Midwest, thick snow in November, or Snowvember, is not uncommon.
He loves it, look at him. He's so excited. Are you gonna run around, Arthur? Are you gonna run around?
Secondly, in the film, while Steve Martin's wife is waiting for him to come home, I believe there's a quick shot of her lighting a candle, which we're not going to do right now because there's a cat here and I'll probably burn him. But that, in tandem with this winter feel, made it appear like a cheap Christmas card. Thirdly, Steve Martin's wife pulls from the oven a giant turkey, and that is not a euphemism. Turkey, of course, in Britain is mostly synonymous with the Christmas meal, and so this was a huge reason that I think for the first 26 years of my life, I thought Thanksgiving on the one hand and Christmas on the other were actually one and the same. But it turns out that not only is Thanksgiving not Christmas, it takes place in November. Specifically, the fourth Thursday in November. It didn't help that Steve Martin...
By the way, person, have you, if you're still around, what do you think about Thanksgiving? Is it what he's saying true for what you thought? Oh. Oh, you hate snow. Yeah. I didn't see your hate snow comment. Like, snow can be fun, not when it stops everything from happening. You're like, yeah. Lost in the Pond is an interesting channel. He talks about a lot of things that he realized and stuff like that. Like, man, this content isn't as interesting. Oh, sorry. I got really into talking to Soulful Hats about the other subject. Sorry about that.
And lived in a huge house in the Chicago suburbs, because that makes me think of one thing: Home Alone, which is a Christmas movie. Anyway, speaking of two films that featured the late great Sir Jonathan Candy, that brings us on to this. I didn't know it yet, but America was not alone in celebrating a holiday of this very name. I mean, cut me some slack, I barely knew that America did. Because as I've been doing this channel over the years, I've discovered that there are Canadians in the world, and they watch. Hello. And usually, whenever I do any kind of Thanksgiving-themed content, I get those really polite comments that are along the lines of, Lawrence, you disgrace. You forgot about Canadian Thanksgiving again, so I'm inserting it into this video to appease you. John Candy,
Lawrence,
the
you forgot
Canadian,
about...
after Bret the Hitman Hart, would not have
forgot,
celebrated
like,
Thanksgiving
Korean.
the same day as his character in Planes, Trains and
Or, I
Automobiles.
mean, he forgot Korean Thanksgiving. But yeah.
Because it turns out that Canada does theirs on the second Monday in October. And given that Canada also does Boxing Day, if you took all of the North American holidays, the holiday season would never end. It would be 3 solid months of eating and vomiting. Before I knew better, I never once questioned the inherent meaning of Thanksgiving, that we gather to celebrate the birth of our Lord Jesus Christ and open lots of presents. But during my first Thanksgiving party, which happened about 2 weeks after I moved to the United States, it became clear at that point that this was in addition to Christmas, and so I was quickly onto the business of eating, but also asking these friends and family members at the table, what's all this about? And this was actually a college campus, so for them it was about getting drunk. But, you know, after a few solid pints, I managed to get out of them that the day is all about giving thanks. The clue is in the name. It's about giving thanks for this bountiful harvest of food that we have at this table, or just in America. I'm not going to do a deep dive on the history of this, but what I am going to do is just give you my observation of how Americans display that gratitude. I don't think I've been to a single Thanksgiving family meal with her family and not sat there while another family member, usually a bloke, I don't know why that is, says, let's say grace. So I do, grace. And at that point, everybody in the room looks at me and says, shut up, you clown. And they, you know...
To be fair, for me, we've never done grace, but on the other hand, most of my family and friends are... My family is, like, Jewish, so, you know. And we're not really religious.
Basically, thank the Lord for all of this wonderful food that we...
Oh, no, I shouldn't have said that. I'm going to receive the anti-Semitic comments. Oh, God, no. I'm sorry. I'm not a full-blooded one. I'm not really religious. I don't have the power to run the economy or decide what appears in Hollywood. I'm sorry. My Jew powers are weak. No. All I get from that is because I get to become the target of anti-Semitism despite the fact that I really don't look Jewish. And I don't rub it in people's faces.
We are about to eat to excess. But I think it's more than that, because I think that something that I suppose we never got to see in Planes, Trains and Automobiles is...
I actually want to... Did somebody leave because I was Jewish? Oh no. I'm joking, but no, like... God, when I was like, I don't know, in elementary school, an example of just something, which, you know, if someone told me this as an adult, I would just give them a very weird look. But the fact that it was told to me when I was like a very young child, it just sort of like, you know, stuck with me. Like a kid, like if somebody, an adult found out that I was Jewish. Oh, what is this sort of related? It'll be fast. But basically, they were just like, Santa brings presents to all the good boys and girls in the world, but you're a Jew, so you won't get anything, and you're going to go to hell. At which point, I told a teacher, and then that adult basically said, "These are my religious beliefs. How dare you try to change them or oppress my beliefs?" And, you know, that was just, and the person was like, "Oh, okay, fair enough." And I'm just like, even as a kid, like, what in the hell? But yeah, sorry about that. Now back, as Foil Hat said, back to the subject.
The actual event, the sitting around the table, because Thanksgiving is a joyous occasion, and I don't know that that's just because people feel extra thankful that day, or if
Oh, actually, one last bit. I went home that day and I cried to my parents, and I was just told them what that person said. No. I don't really practice either. I mean, by Jewish law, I'm Jewish. Because of my mother. But, I don't really practice anything at all. Though if people give me enough, I have a hard time saying, but what are you really? What are you really? Because they want me to say Christian at the end. And I'm just like, Jewish. And then they're just like, I don't know, I've met some weird people. But either way, I told my father I cried. And then on Christmas, because it's just like my dad got me like a little Lego biplane and like put it on the... Clearly, this was like a last minute thing because, you know, I had like, I think told him the day before. And so my dad went and got it, like this little, as I said, little Lego plane, and like put it on the, like the by the fireplace we had, and he was just like, "Oh, look, Adam, you know, even though you're Jewish, like you're a good boy, and Santa came by and got you a present." Which, you know, I mean, as a little kid, I was just like, "Oh my God!" But like, you know, as an adult, I'm like, my dad got that present for me, and he was like, you know, because he was worried about how I felt, and you know, that's one of the really nice memories that I have. My father completely forgot all of this though, which is sort of funny because it's a thing that means a lot to me. But, you know, like, Just because something means a lot to you doesn't mean it will mean a lot to the other person. But either way, sorry. Back to the video. I'm running out of time.
It's a holiday with very little pressure. Unless you're the one cooking all the food, then there's a lot of
In
pressure.
that case,
but
it's a
unlike
nightmare.
Christmas, you don't have to buy presents for anybody, so that's nice. And because it falls on a Thursday, some employers might even give their employees the Friday off, so therefore you get a 4-day weekend, which is a bloody rare thing in America. In Britain, this exact scenario plays out if indeed Christmas and Boxing Day are immediately before or immediately after the weekend. In either case, in my experience, you'll probably spend those 4 days eating turkey sandwiches. And while we're on the subject of meat, a YouTube sensation like me needs all the fuel he can get for creating the second best videos on the internet. That's why I'm using today's sponsor, Good Chop. Good Chop delivers boxes of high-quality proteins to your door on your schedule. And something that pleased me was that the food came vacuum-packed, which is useful for those of us with trains and automobiles, is of course a sender.
I'm sorry for the people who wanted to see the ad. You should check out his video if you want to see that.
Of actual US travel patterns around Thanksgiving. According to AAA, around 80 million Americans travel at least 50 miles at this time of year. And routinely, I'm one of them.
Well, also, for that, I was like 5. Well, not 5, I was like, as I said, in elementary school. And I was a socially awkward child who also used to speak with a lisp back then, so, you know. God, that reminded me of another story. Because when I was in elementary school, a show called Mobile Suit Gundam Wing came out, and I was talking about Gundam Wing to one of my female friends when an adult came by, and the adult was like, "How dare you talk about condoms in front of a girl?" At which point, me being a little kid was like, "What's a condom? I'm talking about a Gundam. It's a giant robot." And yeah, so I found out pretty early what those were for, earlier than I should have, what those were for, because of some dumbass who, for some snooty, annoying woman who just didn't bother listening to the subject and just thought I was trying to say something nasty. So, but yeah. Oh, she shut up after that. Like, what's that? Also, since it's tangentially related, did you know that when websites were starting to become a thing, the White House did not have access to whitehouse.com? Well, no, I didn't embarrass me. It just basically, they taught me a word I should not have learned for several more years. But yeah, the White House did not have whitehouse.com set up. And actually, the people who did have the whitehouse.com was actually an adult website, if you get what I'm saying. So a bunch of people who are trying to go to see the White House or look into the White House ended up finding, adult content. And yeah, that was funny. Also, when I was younger, there was, I guess, Hasbro, which was a part of a company which was called Playmates Toys, which also that was a site that, as I said, to make children's toys, but also they took out, after the White House found out about that, they bought out the site and said that you couldn't do that. But yeah, for me, I was looking up stuff to buy Gundam toys from the site for that toy company, and it sent me to I guess, an adult toy thing because it's like, oh, hey, this is Playmate. So it's like, Mom, there's a woman in her underwear on the thing. They're like, Adam, get off the website! Stop! Like, so dumb. But yeah, need to go back to this.
What happens when you start your American life in Indiana and then move to Chicago and leave behind a lot of family members that you inherited? Well, this kind of thing, I've come to find, is the reality for a lot of Americans. And so, like Steve Martin's character, they might use all manner of transport to try to get where they...
I've already told people my name is Adam. It's not like I'm saying, my name is Adam Myers Michael. I'm sorry. Michaels is... I apologize. I live in Jersey Shore, Oregon.
They need to go. Now, admittedly, most of the time, we will drive the
6969 Gaylord Avenue.
those hundreds of miles in a car. But one time, when we were less rich, we used Megabus, and there was something profoundly disappointing about that. It's that the people on the bus didn't start singing the theme tune to the Flintstones, which happens in Planes, Trains and Automobiles.
Flintstones, meet the Flintstones.
Now, in hindsight, this is sort of weird, because if anyone's going to break out into song, it is Americans. I pointed out in my recent road trip video that this is a fairly common occurrence with inside the walls of a car. Do cars have walls? I don't know. But in my experience, this sort of thing doesn't happen on buses, largely because nobody wants to be there and we're all terrified of strangers. Happy holidays. But when it comes to traveling for the holidays, I think Planes, Trains and Automobiles did get one thing right, and that's that American trains are unreliable. What I'm about to say is a spoiler for a 37...
Not the fact that American transportation is not the best. I mean, outside of cars. Oh, how could he imply that true? I mean, no.
Your old film. So, if you haven't seen Planes, Trains and Automobiles, put me on mute for 20 seconds and don't be tempted to lip read. At the end of the movie, Steve Martin takes a lonely John Candy back to his huge house in the Chicago suburbs. And when they get there, the family is so happy to see them. Paul Young is playing in the background and it's just a rousing finish to the film. There's just one problem. Where are the other 20 people, Steve? I mean, I know you turned up late, so maybe they all left. But my experience is if you've got a house as big as that, you'll have cousins, second cousins, some guy named Todd that nobody recognizes, because Americans...
It depends on which state you're in and which part of the state. Some states have really good public transportation, like buses and subways and stuff like that. But others are not as good. The state I grew up in, Maryland, is a lot of its metro is also linked with DC's metro. Well, yeah. But you have to understand, America is more car focused. Like, the infrastructure is mostly set up for driving cars to places, rather than taking the bus or taking, the metro. And there are people who do, but everyone basically gets to work by car or carpools.
Much more than the British like to go all out when it comes to invitations. On the one hand, it can be overwhelming for introverts such as myself. On the other, it does give me more people to turn to when my wife's cousin Chad tries to get me to look at his comic collection. Had I known the full extent of a Thanksgiving meal, I might have overcome my Christmas confusion much sooner. For it seems to me that Steve Martin's wife's turkey, again, not a euphemism, was in fact a ruse. Because when you take into account some of the other food items that are common at a Thanksgiving dinner table, there's not really a lot of crossover with British Christmas at all. Yeah. Firstly, there's no Christmas pudding, obviously. And instead of mince pies, you have one of either pecan pie, my favourite, pumpkin pie made out of real pumpkins and not whatever the hell this travesty is from Target, or sweet potato pie, or about 100 other pies. And sure, as I told YouTube sensation Evan Edinger the other day, I gave up added sugar, I'm not going to eat this with you. But back when I wasn't, pies contribute heavily to making this my favourite of the American holidays. And then there's the sides. I remember sitting around a table not dissimilar to this, and my wife said, I want stuffing, which left me mortified until I realised she meant the food. So I asked her, stuffing, to which she said, that's not stuffing, that's oyster dressing. The stuffing is on the far side of the table. Well, they look the same to me. What is this? I've never heard of oyster dressing. Well, it turns out I should have. Oyster dressing, a bread-filled dish typically enjoyed in the South.
Well, It's a fake plastic pumpkin, I believe. Yeah. Most pumpkin that we use comes canned. But yeah. But yeah, it is basically just, you know, a cheap plastic pumpkin decoration.
And by at least one family in the Midwest, actually originated in Britain. The first known reference to oyster dressing can be found in a 1685 edition of the Accomplished, a cookery book by the English chef Robert May. Anyway, the recipe, then a mixture.
Yeah, no, the pie is basically just canned pumpkin, which is basically pureed real pumpkin, or at least they say it is. You then add the pumpkin spice, some pumpkin spice to it after putting the pumpkin into the the pie crust. And I guess depending on who you are and what you want to do, you might add cream, or you might add, like, you know, some eggs or just something to change it. Or I think some people just literally dump the pumpkin in there and then, you know, shove it in the oven. But yeah, pumpkin spice stuff, it doesn't taste like pumpkin. It's just because it's called that because it's the spices that we use when making things with pumpkin, like pumpkin pie. It seems obvious to me, but I've met a lot of people who don't understand that and have been like, but pumpkin spice doesn't taste like pumpkin. It's not meant to. Yeah, sorry.
Of oysters, bacon, herbs, and spices was brought to North America by British colonists, first showing up in American print more than a century later in Amelia Simmons' American Cookery. Suffice to say, the stuffing or dressing that I've had in the United States is usually quite a lot different to the stuffing that I had in Britain. Partly that comes down to texture, but
well, in Maryland we use something called Old Bay, which is a spice blend which usually goes well with, like, the Maryland blue crab. It goes well fish. It goes really well French fries. It goes well popcorn. You can basically, we put that shit on everything. And it's starting to show up in other states too. Yeah. I don't think it's lemon pepper inside Old Spice. You know, I've realized it's been a very long time since I've had anything with it. Not Old Spice. Old Bay. Old Bay. I have not eaten Old Spice deodorant or body wash. Sorry. Allegedly. I alleged I haven't. Yeah, sorry.
Secondarily, it comes down to the shape. Back in Britain, where I come from, it was not uncommon to have stuffing balls, which that is.
Oh my.
However, in the US, stuffing is often not as congealed, a sort of bread-heavy free-for-all inside a casserole dish, themselves more prevalent in US kitchens than British ones. I'm probably generalizing heavily with everything I've said in this video, but for the most part, that's been my experience. Oh, it's funny how life works out. 35 years after I first laid eyes on planes, trains, and automobiles, I've come to appreciate it on a level my childhood brain couldn't have comprehended. Not only have the things listed in this video become annually ingrained into my life, but as fate would have it, I too now live in a suburb
I'm Lawrence,
of Chicago,
and I'm on a quest
just
to
my house is marginally smaller than Steve Martin's. And so I suppose that I'm thankful for life imitating art. But I'm also thankful for my late father for deciding in a moment of clarity not to buy Karate Kid 2. So let me know in the comments what you're thankful for, and until next time, goodbye.
Oh, yeah, I've seen some stuff like that. Or some of the stuff that she's covered. Like, yeah. I've seen things where they cover some of the subjects related to that. Or, you know, I'm sorry. My brain is dying. I would love to talk more, but I literally have 1 minute until I need to be out the door. Yeah. Cook it, like, a lot of stuff is made by using that. Or, you know, making stuff with, like, well, I really need to leave. I'm sorry. Man, it's always so interesting to talk to you, Foil Hats, but I literally don't have the time this time. All right, yeah. Goodbye, person. Bye. I really need to leave. Bye.